Mark Nordenberg, one-time dean of law school at the University of Pittsburgh and their chancellor, was fond of saying and representing for his turf that we live in an adversarial system. That's not quite the way of it wording wise. In Seattle, for example, I've learned that adversarial psychiatry is enemy malpractice. And it's very difficult to mitigate the feeling of danger when you've been named an enemy of the University of Pittsburgh and your friends have been raped, people who you showed favor murdered. Naturally, the fact that the Zionist community tortured me and I reported it, murdered my father and I reported it, has created a feedback loop through the ranks in Israel because the Israeli Defense Forces were represented by Mark Nordenberg in the behemoth of the University of Pittsburgh, disproportionately to their value. And he covered for a museum thief for years and years, and even worse. So naturally, they play hardball when it comes to me. I think that the situation in Gaza has disturbed everyone. I'm not exceptional in being disturbed by it. But one of the more disturbing features is the way that the perversion of Holocaust studies and the appeal to morality has taken the form of allowing Jewish exceptionalism to engage in an enterprise of total role reversal, where they are now committing a Holocaust. And the human drama reaches out through our screens across the world. I think of one incident where there was a fake ceasefire. And a child jumped for joy. The next day he was dead. He's not here to be reassured. But even though the ceasefires had turned out to be trickery again and again, every time it has happened, the children had said, finally it is over, only to be betrayed. That should weigh heavily on all of us. There's no gift in the human language or the capacity for empathy that can express the eternal crime of a child trapped living dead under the rubble. It can't be done. It should never have entered the realm of normal. And the fact that it has unwoven the civilizational enterprise of the human race. My own circumstances are strangely similar. Seattle lured me here with a promise of safety from protection from abuse, only to bar me from school, terrorize me, isolate me, quarantine me, poison me in the mouth, poison me in the brain, leading to diabetes and Parkinson's, knowingly and intentionally, as rivals in education, all while drumming their fingers for the exceptionalism of the Zionist community with whom they made virtually no secret of sharing confidentialities about me with intent to act in malice. That's Seattle for you. It can't be changed. There's no way to undo Seattle's verminous hand in what has taken place in Gaza. There's no way to unravel the University of Pittsburgh's long tongue of lies. Their tongue extends longer than Pinocchio's nose and flaps and rattles with as though celebratory cans are tied to it. Kicking and laughing, lie after cowardly lie. There's no way to disentangle King Crimson from the ravenousness with which they poached a child who was frail. And anyone who sees the picture of me as a child can see why I was afraid of everyone. I will print that picture for you, in fact, so that you can see it yourself. You can see very clearly why I would be so afraid of just about everybody in Pittsburgh. And yet they made it out to be some sort of character flaw, that being beaten nearly to death by being terrorized and kidnapped and tortured as a child was somehow itself a crime. When the inhumanity towards children reaches this stage of what I guess you would call development, since how determined they are to behave this way, how determined they are to do it to children, you have to wonder what is going on in their heads behind the scenes. We've seen pictures of children gunned down in schools, and they often are heartbreaking. But how do we turn it into an ideology where the child himself is to blame for it? I think what we are dealing with is a perverse opportunism of fascism. Because when you think about it, one of the things that was the objective of the organized criminals at the University of Pittsburgh was to lure me into irresponsible behavior that led to abortion. That was their goal. That was their stated goal. They put it on paper. They called it I Am the Walrus. And they worked with Yoko Ono executing this vindictive, sickening operation. What was their goal? I met one of these Zionists after a party in which they had played pin the tail on the donkey. That was their goal. They wanted abortion to be the tail they stuck on the donkey. So they now have the leverage of a rhetorical ploy. I'm not defending abortion per se. I'm saying that the Holocaust survivor community looked at abortion, looked at the truckloads of Jews to the crematorium and said, aha, abortion is not just murder, but it is mass murder. It is a crematorium. And these are the true baby killers. And we can use abortion as a symbol and leverage to justify genocide by saying, how dare you judge us when you yourself should be judged. And the cowards and cripples in Congress who make such a stink about abortion and refuse to have proper moral education in the schools, and who kidnapped and tortured this poor child so they could use him. Adults were using, at that age, were using him when they got their hands on him for sex. Adults were. So that they could play this kind of bingo-rama with symbols and ideas as they wipe out a whole generation of beautiful, beautiful children from Arabia. Do you realize how old and distinguished the people of Arabia really are? And yet, Arabia itself sits still. Arabia itself sees it as an opportunity standing to gain in power in the region in their weird alliance with fascist Israel. Weird fascist Israel. It's hardly exceptional. It's a banal, disgusting embarrassment to the human race.